Hi there. We're back. I think the sound has calmed down. Trucks are still here, but they've turned their sirens off. Okay. So, I'm out of high school, living with some with some friends. And I'm kind of, I kind of equate it to sort of pressing a reset button. I was trying to take everything out of my life that was causing me pain, and that it seemed to be everything. I just started completely new. I was living somewhere else, out of my parents' house. I quit my job, which probably sounds irresponsible, but I think I'd been so miserable for so very long. We're talking about, I was 19, so I'd been miserable since I was in 5th grade. Really, I mean, there was really no break from it. I was very unhappy the entire time. And I've needed that. It was good for me. I didn't have much money. I wound up, there were 6 of us living in this apartment. And the landlord was a friend of he was much older than us. He was a friend of one of my friends. And he let me stay there for free. A couple of them paid rent. He was really cool about it. I think he wasn't creepy. If that's something that you're immediately starting to think about, that wasn't the case. I don't know. I think he just I think he liked the idea of helping some people out, and he may have liked it, whatever. It doesn't matter. He was a nice guy. And I when I could, I'd help him out. I'd work with him, doing whatever. I know we put up some drywall, for a friend of his one time, and I'd give him rides to work. He didn't have a license at the time. I think he had recently lost his license for a period of time, and he something I did for him, which was actually pretty valuable for him. I was there for him to give him rides wherever he needed to go. So, I didn't skate by, I guess, completely. I wasn't completely a freeloader, but I was a freeloader. But I to this day I feel very fortunate that he allowed me to do that, because it gave me some space away from all that bad stuff, and it really was bad for me. I don't know. I wouldn't have been able to develop under those conditions. I was being yeah. So I lived there for a few months. I lived in that apartment for a few months, and a good friend of mine who was my roommate, she was my roommate there. She and her girlfriend had moved out to San Francisco, and I stayed back, and I was sad to see them go. And a couple months after she moved out, she gave me a phone call and said, "I'm coming back to visit my sick mother, and when I leave, I've got a beautiful apartment, and you're welcome to move in with me." And I didn't even hang up the phone to think about it for a few moments. I immediately just said, "Okay, when are you coming down? I'll get my things together." So I did that. I absolutely took her up on the offer because I had always wanted to. Maine had been, for I'd say I guess about half of my life at that point. Maine had been a miserable place for me, though I had some fine memories of my childhood prior to all the horrible stuff. I absolutely took her up on the offer. So I got a job for, I think I had 3 or 4 weeks before she was going to show up. And so I got a job and made as much money as I could for those few weeks. And the plan was just I was going to go out there with her and find a job out there. And this is a whole saga in its own, so I'm not going to give any details about it. But I had a really good. This guy and I became really fast friends, and he was such a great guy. He's no longer. He passed away, unfortunately, when I was 26. But he and I were best friends at the time, and he said. I said, hey, I'm going to go out to San Francisco. And he's like, I want to come, And I was like, well, you're welcome to. And so he, I didn't invite him to stay with her because that wasn't my place to do that. But we worked out a plan. I should say, but before I said you're welcome to, it's sort of jumping the gun. We worked out a plan, and he was going to get a job out in Reno, Nevada for a few months, make some money, pick me up in San Francisco in December, because I will have been out in San Francisco at that point for about 6 months. Pick me up in San Francisco, and we would get a place together. And that was really a really exciting prospect. We would have made fantastic roommates. He really was a really great guy. And so we all left from Auburn, Maine, 3 of us, and we picked up the girl who was my friend, who I was going to move out there with, picked up her friend in Boston. He just so happened to be in Boston at the time, and we all drove out, the 4 of us, and luggage, in a Toyota Tercel, 3,000 miles, and it was a hell of a trip. It was a whole lot of fun. But anyway, it would be a fun story to tell. I don't have the time to do it, and it doesn't do any good to this. The reason why I'm telling this story, my story here. The girl who, I'm not going to say her name, but the girl who I moved out there with, apparently some point in time between the phone call she had to invite me out and this point in time had got together with her girlfriend again. And that spot in her room, in her apartment, I'm piecing the pieces of the puzzle together, was no longer available. And we were young. She was a little younger than I was. And she was not mature enough, she didn't tell me. She let me drive all the way out there, and she left me for homeless when I got out there. So I was homeless in San Francisco. I could have gone back, but I didn't, because I'd just be going back to, I'm not going to go live with my parents. That was never going to happen. I was never going to go back there. So I spent roughly 6 months in San Francisco homeless. I got a job immediately so I was saving money. I found a shelter to stay at. I met some really nice people, some good people. I had friends ranging in 20s, mid-20s. There were students in college and bartending and, serving and doing whatever they need to do to pay rent and go to school. And they knew my situation. I made them clear that I didn't have a place to stay other than the shelters that I was staying at, and they were completely non-judgmental. They were very cool, kind people, fun. Had a lot of fun with them, and it was a really great experience. I wish I could talk about that more. I can't. But being out there for 6 months, yep, I was homeless, and I saw some things, and I had some hard times. But I had some really fantastic times, and it was I stayed there because I had felt the need to challenge myself. I talked to my parents about this a few times. I had broached the topic of living out there, being homeless, and they never seemed to want to have any part of talking about that. So I never spoke about it for more than a few moments at a time. From what I could understand, they never wanted to. What I saw as a sort of a character building challenge, and a challenge to see how resourceful I could be, to sort of test my mettle. I don't think that they saw it that way at all. I think they saw it as a bad decision, irresponsible, and I really don't think that they thought highly of that at all, and which is too bad, because I just don't see it that way. I got some very valuable information out of that, and it wouldn't change it. I would never change that. Every time you give me that option, every time I'd be homeless in San Francisco for those 6 months for sure. I have no regrets. I came back. My buddy did go out to Reno, and he visited me a couple times, and then he came back in December to pick me up, and the plan was we were going to come out to Maine. I was going to pick up my dog, and we were going to spend Christmas with our families, and then go back out to San Francisco, get an apartment together. That was the that was the plan, and I'll leave it almost 13 minutes in. I'm going to turn this off now, and I'll continue in the next video. I'll see you then.